Hello and welcome to another video from Midas Touch Toys, Games, Collectibles. And today we are looking at something that is become quite a rare and collectible item, really. We are looking at a 2010 release by Hasbro from their Star Wars Kenner, the Vintage Collection series of action figures, which originally run from 2010 to 2013. And they released 115 figures in that series, which included characters from episode 1, 2 and 3, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, plus there was a few figures from the expanded universe as well. So it only ran from 2010 to 2013, but they did revive it in 2018 for a short amount of time and produce some more figures and vehicles. Anyway, I've digressed. This is the item in front of us, and it says ages 4 and up, and it's item number 28440 and assortment number 97568. And it's got warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years old, and Star Wars Return of the Jedi, and it's Weequay as the Skiff Master, obviously from Return of the Jedi, as he appeared on Jabba's Skiff ship in the desert on Tatooine. And at the very bottom you've got the Kenner logo, and you can see an image of Weequay on the skiff barge or skiff boat, whatever you call it, on Tatooine when he was taking Han Solo, Luke Skywalker and Chewbacca to the Salacious pit on in the desert, where they were going to be digested by the sand creature. Okay, so that is the front of the card. Now, before we have a look at the figure itself, I just want to turn the card round and let's see what we got printed on the back. Okay, so I turn the card around. This is what we got on the back. So it's got the Vintage Collection Wars, and this particular figure is number VC48, and it is Weequay. And it says, celebrate the legendary Star Wars saga that changed the universe forever. This collection brings to life the incredible story of good versus evil that captured our imagination and took us to a galaxy far, far away. Iconic Star Wars heroes and villains are captured with incredible detail and premium features to commemorate each epic tale in the Star Wars saga. May the Force be with you. And this is Weequay from Return of the Jedi in 1983. And it says, collect these awesome characters, each sold separately. And you've got the Clone Trooper, General Lando Calrissian, AT-RT Driver, the FIEK Search, and Luke Skywalker. And just below that, you've got all the copyright and licensing information. And it's got 2011 Hasbro Inc. And at the very bottom, you can see you've got the CE markings, not suitable for under 3 years. It says visit the StarWars.com, Hasbro.com website, Hasbro logo and the Star Wars logo, and proof of purchase with the barcode, and it's 28440 Weequay proof, and the barcode numbers at the very bottom. Okay, so that is the back of the card. So let's now turn the card back round to the front and have a good look at this rare figure itself. Okay, so I've zoomed right in on the card. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra light there, because I just wanted to have a look at the facial features of the figure, and you can see that it's done exceptionally well. The facial image, the moulding, is absolutely spot on to the image on the right hand side of the character, as seen in the movie. But his clothing is spot on, his hair is spot on, it's absolutely perfect, really. And if we go down a little bit further, you can see his belt is spot on, even his hands are absolutely perfect. His trousers are spot on as well. You can't actually see his feet in that picture, but compared to the rest of it, I'd imagine they've got this completely right, and it is an exact copy of how he was in the movie. But let's just zoom right in on. I mean, look at that. I mean, the actual features and moulding of that, or sculpting of that face, is just absolutely phenomenal. I mean, these vintage collection, it was supposed to be reissues of the original Kenner figures, but my goodness gracious me, these are fantastic. When I say original Kenner figure, I don't think they were actually. I think it was just that they used the vintage, they called it the vintage collection, because they used the card that was all based on the original Kenner cards from the original releases. So there we have it. And say his outfit there is just absolutely spot on, dirty and dusty as it appears in the movie. That's all full of sand, obviously from the desert. And then his belt there, his buckle, and his pouch there, and he's holding his blaster, which is strapped to his hand, as you can see. And so there's his trousers and his shoes at the very bottom, and on the side of him he's got his staff, which has the axe head at the top there, as you can just about see. I'm just going to turn that card to the side a little bit so you can get a better view of his axe there, which is just there. Now, yeah, I mean, it's just an absolutely phenomenal figure. They really have improved the figures so much since they first started to release them, or re-release them, back in the early 90s, or the late 90s, I should say, when the first trilogy went back onto the big screen, digitally remastered. So they started to release the figures. Kenner started to release the figures back then, and obviously Hasbro took over, but they have moved the figures on tremendously. So unfortunately, or fortunately, however you like to look at it, I cannot remove this figure from the card. I'm just going to dim that light now, because it is obviously sealed, it's brand new. I don't have any of these vintage collection series figures separately to show you, but we're going to try and see it through the packaging, because it is a nice packaging, and it's a nice bubble rather than the squashy bubbles that we used to get on the earlier figures. So this figure stands 10 centimeters tall, as you can see. He is 4 centimeters wide, and depth wise he is about 2 centimeters. Now, articulation wise, well, we've got the head, the top of the shoulders, the top of the arms, and the elbows. So you've got 3 pieces of articulation on each arm. So the head is one, you've got the waist which turns, you've got the top of the legs which move up and down, and you've got the knee joints and the feet. So you've got some pretty good articulation on these vintage collection figures. They really did do them very, very well. Now, if you think about back in the day, in order to get that kind of articulation, they made the figures bigger. Because the early ones, I'll show you an earlier figure. This was one of the Stormtrooper figures from the 90s, late 90s, and you can see the articulation. It's just the head, the shoulder. There's no arm twisting or hand movements or anything like that, and the legs were just very basic movements. So they were not the greatest of articulation. So you just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation on these figures, which wasn't the best, but hey ho. As these figures have moved on, they certainly made them in a much more detailed, much more sculpted. Detailing is spot on to the characters, you can see there, and the authentic styling of the clothing, and obviously the articulation, which they have done so much more on these smaller figures than they used to have. So we used to be quite disappointed with these smaller figures, because the articulation was never the best, but they have certainly improved that with these figures, with these 2000. I'm just going to add that light back on again, so it gives us a little bit a better view when we're zoomed in. So yes, how well did these figures do? Well, I would say that they've done pretty well. Hasbro only released them from 2010 to 2013 before they stopped and brought the line to the end. However, they did revive them in 2018 for a short amount of time and produced some more figures. I'm guessing they were for the later series though, so probably the newer movies, and I think there was some on the Mandalorian and so on. But they revived them for a brief time in 2018. But these original ones from 2010 to 2013, how well did they do at the time? Well, yeah, as I say, I think they've done pretty well. The quantities were all very limited again. They only released, they released a figure, done the quantity, then move on to the next one. They didn't go back and do reruns of these figures. Some of them were done in a lot less quantities. Some of them were done in bigger quantities, depending on the character and how well they thought they was going to sell. Now, this particular one we're looking at today, Weequay. Now, this is one of the rare figures that was produced in the lower quantities. So you don't see very many of these figures around. They don't come up very often on the platforms, and if they do, they are demanding big amounts of money, which is surprising really when you think, this figure is only 14 years old, and compared to some of the figures from the 70s and 80s, it's almost up at some of those prices. So it just shows you how rare some of these figures have become and how sought after they are. So no, this particular figure doesn't come up for sale very often on the platforms. When it does, it is demanding high prices, and they do sell very, very quickly on the platforms. Or alternatively, you can buy this figure from Midas Touch at the website below. We did manage to find a whole case of these vintage figures, which was from a closed down shop, which we went in and bought out all their stock. This was during the COVID time, so it was pretty much current stock at the time, and unfortunately they didn't reopen again after COVID, but we was fortunate enough to buy all their stock, and we've housed it in our warehouse, and we're now trying to get through all the items that we bought from that particular closed down shop. And all those items that we bought will be available on the Midas Touch website, as is this figure, which you can get to very simply by clicking the link below, and it will take you straight to the website where you'll be able to find this and many other vintage Star Wars items and many other vintage toys, games and collectibles. Come to that. There's over 10,000 products currently available on the website for you to view and purchase at your leisure. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, because we're uploading videos for every new item that goes into the website. There will be something for everybody, and I am absolutely positive that this is something that you won't want to miss, because we literally have thousands and thousands of new products which we're shooting videos for and uploading on a daily basis. So if there's something in particular you're looking for, something old that you're never able to find, something quirky that you might want to buy for a friend, or perhaps just something from your childhood that you'd like to own again to help you recuperate those long lost childhood memories, well, stay tuned, keep watching, because you never know, the next item we upload could be that item you've been looking for. Okay, that is it for me on this particular item. I do hope you've enjoyed reviewing this wonderful, wonderful figure with me. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next video. So bye for now.